11 Alive News at 11 p.m. starts now.
First on 11 Alive this Saturday night, it was not close. The Dogs continue their dominance over the college football world this season. The SEC, they trounce LSU 50-30, not as close as the score indicates, for the program's first SEC championship since 2017. And now they await to see who they will face in the semis of the college football playoff. We have complete coverage on the win from Mercedes-Benz Stadium a little bit later in the broadcast. 3 days from now, we hope to officially know who will be awarded a full 6-year term in the U.S. Senate. The incumbent Raphael Warnock or Herschel Walker, and both candidates spent this Saturday out on the campaign trail. Senator Warnock taking part in several events across Metro Atlanta today, including at the Canvas event with labor leaders outside of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers office on Pulliam Street, Southwest. Meanwhile, Herschel Walker spent time greeting fans at a tailgate event outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium just ahead of the SEC championship. 11 Alive's latest poll numbers now showing that Walker is trailing Warnock 50-46 with 4% undecided. Their stumping today comes in the wake of a flurry of early in-person voting, which saw thousands of Georgians wait in line, sometimes for hours, so they could cast a ballot. Tonight, 11 Alive's Brittany Kleinpeter is taking a closer look at the early voting numbers as the wait to Election Day commences. And Brittany, how about the big takeaways so far?
Jeff, so political experts tell me that the two big takeaways from the early analysis are, one, that early voting is becoming more popular, and two, that it appears voters have made up their minds and don't need to wait until Election Day.
Long lines and packed parking lots could be seen outside polling locations every day this week, with Friday bringing out just over 350,000 voters alone.
This is also a testament to the mobilization efforts of both the Warnock and the Walker campaigns. They were stepping up their efforts to reach out to voters to make sure that they were turning out to vote, and we see the fruits of that with the early voting numbers.
While some believe early voting provides a glimpse into what Election Day may look like, political expert Andra Gillespie says it's important to note what happened last month.
We noticed during the general election that there was very high voter turnout in early and absentee voting, but then lower than expected turnout on Election Day.
No ballots have been counted yet, but more people voted in counties that supported Warnock than Walker, according to the Secretary of State's website. However, last month, Republicans did surpass Democrats on Election Day.
Every vote counts, and a runoff election is basically a war of attrition.
While the record early voter turnout could mean that voters can no longer be swayed,
you gotta vote, you gotta vote, you gotta vote. Are you ready to win this election?
Gillespie says this weekend is still very important for campaigning, considering just how close polls say the race still is.
So this is a very, very critical weekend for both candidates because this race, according to the polls, is still statistically within the margin of error. So it is any person's race to lose.
Now, even though early voter turnout set records every day this week, it's important to note that the abbreviated early voting window did result in fewer overall votes compared with early voting numbers before last month's election, which ended with 2.5 million votes. Jeff.
All right, Brittany, thank you. We appreciate it. Georgia's state election board met in an emergency session today regarding a second investigation into Cobb County's handling of absentee ballots. However, just minutes into the virtual teleconference, it was hacked with the showing of what the board described as inappropriate visual images. The state election board did not take any action today except to say that it would continue to monitor the lawsuit. On to the weather, a little bit of mist, a little bit of fog at various times, and a gray day for the most part. You know, when you think about early December in North Georgia, this is what you get. Meteorologist Nicole Hartford is here.
Our humidity is certainly going up, which is leading to some of that patchy fog across the area. It's definitely gray and dreary, and that's how we'll stay through much of the overnight. We had a little rain this morning. That rain is now down into South Georgia, associated with a cold front that's currently moving through the southeast. We're left with some cloud cover as well as fog, which is making for an overcast night for us thus far. This is our view over downtown Atlanta. As you can see here, visibility is still pretty good through the Atlanta area. We're sitting at a mild 60 degrees with a light breeze out of the north-northeast at 6 miles per hour. But outside of the metro, there are quite a few locations where visibility is extremely limited, out towards Peachtree City, LaGrange, Gainesville, Athens, where visibility is up to about 2 miles. That's low, so if you're going to be out on the roads late tonight, early tomorrow, just make sure to take it a little slower if you come across some of that fog. The fog could also lead to a light mist or a light drizzle, so even though there's no rain on the radar, we're not necessarily completely dry. We're going to hang on to an unsettled pattern as we move through the rest of the week and into the weekend. We are far from done with our rainfall potential. Monday and Tuesday look the most promising, especially when it comes to more widespread rainfall. I'll have that timeline coming up.
2 people are dead after a fire ripped through a northwest Atlanta home this morning. It is a story we were first to bring you here on 11 Alive at 6 a.m. The call came just after 8:30 a.m. to the 900 block of Bolton Road Northwest. And this is the Bankhead neighborhood close to where the perimeter intersects with Holloway Parkway. Atlanta Fire now saying it made an aggressive defensive fire attack in order to put out the massive flames. That is when firefighters found 2 people dead inside of the home. For one neighbor, still a shock, can't believe what she experienced and can't believe what she saw.
I don't even know what to say or think, because I just, in my mind, I'm like, what if it was us? What if we were home? What if it was our house? So it's very unfortunate.
We first had this story at 6 p.m., not 6 a.m., 6 p.m. We're both told that the victims were found inside on the first floor of the home. No identities have been released. As for a possible cause, Atlanta Gas Light eventually uncovered a gas leak in the front yard of the home. Several shoppers at Perimeter Mall were frightened after they reported seeing a man with a gun at one of the department stores this morning. Dunwoody police saying the call came from a Macy's department store inside the mall. Several people told dispatchers they saw a guy with a gun, and then they quickly called authorities. Officers were already on the site. They were able to respond quickly, but an investigation tonight at this hour, unsure if any shots were actually fired, but the good news here, nobody was hurt. We have new details on an overnight shooting with law enforcement. This one out of Gwinnett County. It happened around 1 a.m. this morning in front of the food depot. That's in the Tech Drive area of Norcross. Tonight, the GBI says 22-year-old Tyzeer Huddleston of Norcross was wielding a knife in the store's parking lot when Gwinnett police arrived. A preliminary investigation saying that officers asked Huddleston to drop that knife, but he refused. The GBI adds that at some point, Huddleston then ran toward the officers, his arm extended with knife in hand. The officers fired. They shot Huddleston in the torso. Huddleston later died at a local hospital. An autopsy will now be performed by the Gwinnett County Medical Examiner's Office. Plenty of news headlines to keep track of on this Saturday night. To stay connected, download the 11 Alive News app. You can do that right here, right now, as you watch this big broadcast. If you like cloudy and murky skies, you're in luck. Today's drab weather may be stuck on repeat for a while. Nicole Hartford, our meteorologist, returns right after the break.